1.
Oh,
Got it.
got it.
I already knew.
Got it.
Stay ready. You don't got to get ready.
Tonight, are you ready to get covered in film? Because we're coming right now.
Nice.
We'll be reviewing Do You Think Evil Exists? 2010's horror romance, Let Me In.
Nice. I like that. That's a good choice.
If you made it this far, click like and subscribe because there's a lot more coming right at you. Just coming all around.
Also, besides click like and subscribe, how about lick bikes and survive?
Yes.
Try that out.
It's
Live
a
on the
thing.
wild side.
Did you just make that up, or is that something
Yep.
that you'd heard before?
No, and then the vampires can't track you because your scent's everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Like that's the
Yep.
This is
Lick bikes and
a
survive.
vampire movie.
sorry, phoning
It
it in the
is?
lead. Phoning in the lead. Phoning it
Yeah.
in.
It's an American remake of the 2008 Swedish film Let the Right One In. Did either of you guys watch that, or have you seen it before?
I watched
No.
the non-dub version that was called Svergen and Nurgen.
What? Again, I gotta ask, did you just make that up on the spot, or Bergen and Nurgen?
This is what we do. I'm
Yes.
a fucking professional.
Exactly. I probably would watch it after watching this one.
So I watched it, or I didn't have time to watch it, but I watched it before before we recorded, and I got like an hour into it or something, and I gotta say I'm really glad I picked the American version because even though the other one's got a higher rating, not only would Joe have bitched the entire time about dubs, but
Facts.
I feel
What do you
like
hate about dubstep?
I feel like
No.
in America we just naturally give foreign films a higher rating than they deserve. Like
No, you do.
no.
You
I
do.
mean,
Stop.
Yeah.
the public
Stop-
does it. Do you remember
stop
working
speaking
at
for me.
Blockbuster when Apocalypto came out?
Well, hey, Apocalypto.
Pan's Labyrinth?
Like water for chocolate.
Those are great. Those are great movies.
Yeah, and people would rent them and bring them back and be like, it's got fucking subtitles. It's like, yeah, I'm sorry you had to read 2 sentences on the front of the thing. They're just like, picture, huh?
Well,
Fellowship of the
this-
Rings, it didn't end. You guys didn't give me a disc. There's not an ending to this movie. No, yeah, you gotta wait 2 fucking
Did
years.
somebody say
and
that to
watch
you?
all the
oh.
time.
Dude, that is the best punchline for a fucking joke. You got to write that joke. That is
Public
great.
is stupid. I'm
Oh, yeah.
sorry, public.
Yeah.
I love you though. You're great. Everybody who watches the show
Yeah.
is super awesome.
It's one of my best book series, and they opened the series. It's I can't remember the name of the author because he stopped writing them and he got preachy towards the end. But in the very beginning, he was like, the first rule of wizarding is people are stupid. And I've just that's kind of been my number one motto when I wake up in the morning and my eyeballs open. People are stupid. All right, now that we got that groundwork set, let's build the rest of it.
Especially when there's a lot of them together. But
well, anyways,
none of
there's
those
some
themes apply to
truly-
tonight.
Right.
There's some truly great foreign films out there, like Pan's Labyrinth. Pan's Labyrinth was great, but Let the Right One In has a 98% on Rotten Tomatoes, which you can never trust them anyways. But
No, Rotten
It's-
Tomatoes.
there's a lot of acting in it, and right away, like in the first 10 minutes, I saw some shit that I was like, why would you be killing someone under a street light? But I digress. It's a foreign film, so
Right.
everyone just overlooks it as like, well, that's probably how they do it in Sweden.
The art.
And-
man,
Well, it's just
the
so
art.
much more artistic. It's so much more
That's right.
artistic, right?
Like you
Right.
could literally see cars driving past him in the background in that first killing scene where he's bleeding the dude. And it's like all they got to do is look to the right.
All right, so here's the only caveat I'll give Russ for the comment about Americans giving foreign films a higher rating is automatically I know that I have that preconception where if I'm watching a scene like that and logically it makes zero sense in American cinema, but considering it's a foreign film, I automatically give it more artistic license.
Yeah.
And it's not an actual representation, it's an impression of, maybe he is deep in the woods, but in his mind, all of his attention is spotlighted down on this event, and yet the whole world is taking place behind him. Whereas they probably didn't even put that much thought into it. And it's like you said, people shouldn't shouldn't watch movies based on Rotten Tomatoes.
I almost feel like you guys should just go watch it, get to that scene, tell me what you think, because it was so poorly executed. And having watched this movie first to then
Which
watch
I did watch this movie. I don't know how much you want to talk about not
then watch
watching the
this
other movie.
and then go
but
back
I
to the
did
other
watch
one. I
this
was
one.
like, hey,
Anyways,
anyways,
watch the other
Ben,
movie. This is just me talking shit.
This
is what
movie
we
I
do.
think was really good. In that movie, right off the bat, I was like, But anyways, Ben, if you watch this movie and you want to get on with it and bitch and moan about the way I do things, why don't you give it a rating?
Wait, is it limited to the movie we watched?
You know what? I'm going to give it a rating, but because I want to, not because you told me to. I like a good vampire movie, honestly. I've had an affinity for vampires for, I want to say, a long time in my life, honestly. It's a pretty great way to stay alive, although you're not alive, but whatever. So, is the trade-off worth it? Probably.
It's bad.
And there are many good vampire movies. Many good vampire movies. Way better than the amount of mummy movies there are, I'll tell you that much. And Frankenstein, like, God, dude, once every 20 years or some shit. This movie...
The Mary Shelley one was good.
I don't know. Yeah, no, really good. De Niro as Frankenstein was great.
Yeah.
No, this was good. I like Richard Jenkins. This was actually alluded to in the WonderCon panel where we saw the Kick-Ass crew come out, and Nicolas Cage had talked about Chloe Grace Moretz was going to be going on to star in the remake of Let the Right One In, and oh my God, because she's going to do amazing things. Yeah, it was a cute little spot. And then when I watched it, I was like, this is a really unique take on. No, sorry, that's Russ's line. I honestly thought it was a pretty. I love how they are showing you the rules of her being a vampire without even talking about her being a vampire. And the thing that really stands out is Richard Jenkins has gotten old. She still needs help to do things. She can't really survive in the modern world on her own unless she completely, moves away from people.
Is there like a grade in here somewhere, or are we just going to jump right into the whole convo? Because I got things to say.
Let Ben talk.
all that being said, I guess I say this movie is about a C-. No, this is a solid B+. This is a good, if you want vampires, but you're maybe not looking for underworld bullshit, this is probably right up your alley.
That's fair. That's a nice corollary there.
Joe, what do you think?
So I'm going to not go on as long as Ben because I thought about this question, but
fuck you.
Did not know this was a vampire movie. I actually thought this was a teenage suicide pact movie. Apparently got it confused in my memory of what this movie was going to be. So at first I was not interested in watching this movie. Sat down, turned it on, and the first quarter of the movie
kind of feels like a suicide movie.
Very much fit my preconceived notions. And so when the attack in the friggin' tunnel happened, my mind was completely blown. Was not ready
what
for
a fun
it.
Experience.
Did not see it coming.
Yeah, I wish
cool.
that I had
I want that. That sounds fun, dude. Damn.
And it changed. Like I immediately engaged. I'm really into my D&D right now. I was trying to do some painting while I was watching the movie, multitask. Nope, forgot everything I was doing. Was absolutely glued to the screen. Incredibly well done depiction, like Ben says, and I'm gonna go ahead and fucking bite on it because it was the first thing I thought of it when I turned the movie off. I was like, I have never seen a vampire movie like that. This is the most unique and a perspective I had not seen on vampirism. Completely blew my mind.
Yeah.
Based on my raw viewing of it once with no exposure to it prior to this, I'm gonna give it an A. I mean, it was a fucking good fucking movie, dude. Like, maybe my viewpoint affects my rating, but I'm willing to stand behind it because the first part of that movie is all the worst parts about being a fucking kid.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, Ben's got things to say. I got things to say. What'd you think, Russ?
No, I said them all. Apparently, I need to shut up.
Oh yeah, shut the fuck up.
Well, shout out to my buddy Logan again. I was hanging out with him and I told him that we were gonna either review the original, which is actually what I was leaning with, or this one, and he had said, I love them both a lot. He actually goes out. He told me this is his favorite horror movie.
Oh wow.
And I he kind of very lightly pushed me to say I think you should pick the English version. And I did tell him, like, someone in the group really hates subtitles. And so he was like, yeah, you should really go with the English version. So I'm really glad we did. I think it's actually a better movie based on what I saw. But thank you, Logan. And I would also give this movie an A. There were things that I knew going into it that it was a vampire movie. And so one thing I'd say about it, and I don't even think it's a negative, but I thought the story was very predictable as I was watching it. Like, I knew Richard Jenkins wasn't her dad pretty early on. And I knew everything else that was going to happen with the boys taunting him. And it was kind of like a simple plot, but it was very unique. It was suitable for people who don't like horror or who don't like the real pop outy stuff. Yet
it didn't have a lot of like make you quiver kind of scares. It was really a lot more like a slow burn.
And I feel like the older I've been,
every one of the attack scenes or the surprise scenes were shot widescreen, pan angle. You weren't ever in front of her lunging for you, right? Now, you're a witness. It was totally shot from a witness's perspective.
I find that I just don't like movies like that anymore too. Like, I like them, but I don't really want to watch them. I don't like getting scared as much as I used to say I did. So I really like the way this one was done. And I think if you do like that stuff, you'd still like this movie a lot too. The story was just good. It was a good love story. It was a good revenge story and just a good story about like finding your confidence. So I would give it a solid A. I mean, I think it's great.
Solid A. Okay. I really envy that, not knowing it was a vampire movie. That'd be really cool. I knew this was a vampire movie, and because of my fondness for vampires, like when I see Richard Jenkins, I know what he is. He's her ghoul, he's her thrall, and he's helping to keep her safe and alive. Like, he's Renfield. And then,
damn, dude, I can't wait. I've got such a different take on this whole movie.
Yeah. I think. But still, I really enjoyed it. And I really love the idea of, like, vampires have to, every, 50 to 80 years, let's say, they've got to be nice to a new, young, troubled person who's going to be okay with, I'll help you out, you help me out, and I'll help you out.
Even more so, though, accentuated by the fact that she is 12, 13. Right. Yeah. And a girl on top of that.
Right. In the original, not a girl. but
Oh,
interesting.
interesting. All right.
The
He was actually
director-
castrated at the time he got turned into a vampire. So it's like a weird, even more
Jesus
otherworldly vampire than a
Christ.
normal vampire that Hollywood likes to throw out there.
Are you just making this up or is that true?
that's
No, it's true.
Oh,
that's,
wow.
that's not true. That's how the original story was written.
Yeah, the Swedish.
Is-
Yeah,
that-
not in this. Yeah, no, she's definitely.
No, I was
a girl
asking,
in
is
this.
that portrayed in the original movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah, there's a
original
scene where he
movie-
sees her scars.
Huh.
in the
Yeah.
original movie that I was
Interesting.
watching, the actress that they got to play her was like, it wasn't androgynous at all. So I didn't get to that part, but
Ah,
I
gotcha.
I kind of assumed that it was more along the lines of this movie, whereas the book is it's a boy who's been castrated at the very time that he gets turned into a vampire.
Jesus.
And his
Yeah,
name
right.
is
Somebody needed to explore some dark
Talk-
shit when they wrote this.
I mean, yeah, talk about not
I mean,
enjoying
dude.
what could be a decent occasion, not the castration, of course.
This guy's friends did not call to check on him.
so Joe, the part in the part in this movie where they kind of do an ode to that is where she says, "Would you still like me if you found out I wasn't a girl?"
Right. All right. That's well executed. Again, another tip to this movie on how it's executed.
Another little like bit of trivia, since we were talking about it, Matt Reeves, the director, he said one of the things that interested him about this story is that it was not from the point of view of a vampire that was 250 years old trapped in a 12-year-old body. It was like a 12-year-old person who had lived 250 years but was still 12. And that was very unique.
I find that to be a nitpick I've got for it. I feel like I get it. They very much do the soft voice. They both talk in a very soft voice to each other.
Well,
Like
and
she
even
turns it up to 10 with her shit.
just to jump in real quick, because you made a point earlier, Ben, and Russ makes a point, and they both connect, which was you thought that guy was her thrall. I didn't think he was her thrall. I think he was there probably, from his age, and maybe this is that vampire's MO. Like she never gave a hard age. But like,
No,
from my perspective of not knowing it was a vampire movie and thinking it was a teenager suicide pact movie, when they first show up, I totally got the abusive traveling salesman father who just has this girl locked up.
right.
But-
She's got
but
no
they do-
shoes.
During the first part of the movie, yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely see being like, I'm so
they do
expecting
show
this.
No,
they
I
do
was
show
sold.
at the end that he was in love with her and
Yeah.
and all that. So I think I agree with Ben, but I would say again, it's a very unique way of portraying the vampire's whole seduction thing. I don't think it was really a seduction technique in this, but it was along the same.
Oh no, it
lines
was
of that
absolutely
story.
planned, dude. She knew every
It's survival.
She played that kid like
Yeah,
a
that's how she
fucking-
survives.
Yeah,
Did-
piano,
did she?
dude. Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yes.
She
I
friggin-
mean,
Yes.
it could be interpreted both ways. It could be like a convenient.
When she
Dude,
tells
all the
him
way
that they
up to
can't be
when-
friends,
right
when
at the
she tells him
beginning.
they can't be friends, that's the hook in, and it never. She reels him in from there.
She
100%.
fucking hits that shit at every fucking point. She doesn't miss it. All the way up to the point of I have to leave and going and getting in a cab and then hanging out until he gets jumped by the bullies at school so that she can come in and save him and create that level of gratitude and bonding. Because his home situation is shit. Like they do a really good job of not highlighting that. Like it's there present in the background. Like they never really focus down on the fact that as shitty as the friggin' bullies' home life is, this kid's got his own problems. An ultra
Yeah, I mean,
religious mom who's
right,
obviously
going
dealing with
through a
her own
divorce.
demons and taking
Yeah,
it
going
on her
through a
son.
divorce,
A
full
dad
on
who's
depression.
not involved. You know,
Yeah.
Maybe this Sunday, bud. Maybe like super well executed. You know, again, my expectations of this being a movie, a certain type of movie, and then turning to be another movie. I mean, I was sold. I bought that hook every line through this movie. And when it came out, it was a vampire movie. Then it was, and I still don't see it as sinister as Ben's kind of framing it. Right. Like I still feel like a little bit towards Russ's point.
Well,
Yeah,
I guess
she's looking to make a connection. Like it's not all animal survival instinct.
No, there's
that's
definitely a part of it where
that
it's she
I
she used
think
to feel things. Like when she reconnects with Richard Jenkins and talks to him and puts her hand on his face, you can
Yeah,
see like, oh, it's probably been 40 years since I actually took any joy out of
your
existing.
presence. Right,
Yeah.
right. Brief fight scene very early on between the two. So to show some
Dude, I love the
frustration and
way she
tension.
sounds through the wall.
Yeah, it sounds like a dude.
Yep.
in the original version, it does not sound like a dude at all. There's something
Yeah.
they changed. Also, when they're fighting, another thing I felt the American version did better is he's kind of quiet, you know, and she's yelling at him. Um, and then she says, "Say something," or like, "What do you have to say?" And he says, "I, I guess I'm tired, and maybe I want to get caught. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm, I don't want to do this anymore." In the other version, he just says, "Forgive me," and then it goes to another scene. And it's
Pans
like,
out.
we tried harder in America, yet they gave it a higher rating because it was foreign.
And
But
another beautiful thing that again, especially for me, not knowing it was a vampire movie, was the first human victim that she didn't kill bursting into flames in the friggin' hospital.
Hmm.
dude, when they show the light on her and you see her sucking
Skin
the
crack.
other blood out of herself because
Uh-huh.
she's so
Yeah, just
crazy
mindless
possessed.
and new. And there was two things that happened for me at that point was, oh, this is a all out vampire movie.
Yeah.
And
Where
two,
every piece about vampire applies.
Yeah.
she had
Well,
that dude around for all of those years and never fed off him until right before he fell to his pavement to his death. Because all it would have took was one time of feeding on him to turn it.
Well, you don't know that for
no,
sure.
no. In normal vampire, you have
All
to.
right.
She has to give a little of her blood as well. So I think it was kind of in that scuffle. Anyway, one other thing that vampires have is sway over humans, and she never really, just like they show with Richard Jenkins confessing, maybe I want to get caught. Like she doesn't have that mind control that a lot of. And look at Bram Stoker's Dracula when he's like, "You're gonna
Right,
suck my
right.
balls," whatever it is he says on the street. Like they have that
Hartman?
power.
Suck my balls. Could they do that if it was Joe though? We don't know. We will move into the next part because you said that.
Just be gentle on the left.
Bram Stoker's Dracula. So
Yeah,
I put
Keanu
together
Reeves,
my little list of
Gary
other
Oldman.
similar kind of movies, and it was hard for me to do this. And there was kind of some specific criteria I was looking for, um, not just vampire, but also romantic, or not just um, vampire, but maybe horror and romantic. So the ones that I kind of came up with were Interview with a Vampire, which I think is probably going to be the standout competition as far as maybe a favorite goes. But Bram Stoker's Dracula, Dracula Untold. I don't know if you guys watched it. I thought it was better than I expected it to be. Um, The Fly.
Never seen it.
What? As a Is it a
Vampire
vampire
movie?
movie?
No, a horror romance.
Oh,
Oh,
I've never seen it.
You never saw The Fly?
I don't know, man. That's a stretch.
I mean, Ben, you should really watch The Fly as my movie friend. That's crazy that you haven't seen it.
There are a lot of those. You can't watch them all unless that's all you do.
Well, and that early
But-
horror was just, man. I mean, that one freaked me out. It's right up there with Pet Cemetery in my books. I didn't watch a lot of those movies.
Yeah. Pet Cemeteries freaked me out because of how old I was when I watched it.
The same. I mean, the first time I watched Exorcist, I was like fucking off my rocker for a week, couldn't
I
sleep.
still think Exorcist is the scariest movie.
I never thought Exorcist was all that scary.
Man, we're off in the weeds.
Disturbing
Where did we
on a
start?
deep level.
But
Disturbing on a deep
my
level.
last one that I could even like come up with being kind of close to this was The Omen, specifically because it's a child that's the kind of monster in it.
What about Lost Boys?
So
It's
yeah,
a
Lost
horror
Boys was on the list.
romance.
What do you guys think I missed that's really good in your mind?
Horror romance.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer. The movie, not the show.
I mean, Frankenstein.
Yeah, I guess Frankenstein is a love horror movie. Yeah, I should have included that.
Um,
Blade.
Any
Edward Scissorhands.
Hey,
Edward
I know,
Scissorhands came up when I googled
right?
it,
A little bit.
but I was
Nightmare
like, fuck
Before
that
Christmas.
Movie.
Oh, yeah,
Nah, fuck
Nightmare
that.
Before
Warm
Christmas.
Bodies. You ever see Warm Bodies?
I thought about including that in the list too, but I don't know. It just like wasn't.
And they just
What was
did
that one movie
All the
early on that
Bones.
had the freaking crazy stuff? All the Bones. Yeah, there you go.
Like I still wanted it to be scary. But anyways, is there a movie that in your guys' mind
Scream?
that's similar that maybe you liked more?
I don't know, man. This is a really unique movie. Again, I hate that I'm using Russ's tagline, but it is what it is. It's the best descriptor. It's a unique movie.
That's right. I picked
Unique
standouts, everybody.
New York.
Oddly, in my mind, Stand By Me kind of comes up. That's another kind of a bonding movie, like a little latchkey kind of bonding movie between other latchkey kids.
Lollipop, lollipop, ooh, la,
And
la.
I don't know. I'd be hard pressed beyond that one. It's a unique movie. If I'm speaking of, teenage suicide pact romance movies, then that opens the book a lot. But this really makes the turn hard to a vampire movie, and vampire romance is a storyline so old it's almost impossible to make new flavor for it. So kudos to this movie for that.
Agreed.
All right, so
Agreed. I also love the concept of 30 Days of Night. Love that graphic novel. The movie was great. We went and saw it as a group. It was a lot of fun. But the concept of like, oh, I can go somewhere where it's dark for 6 months. Like we can just go fucking live. We don't have to stay down here.
Oh yeah,
Pretty
dude.
cool.
And for 6 months out of the
Yeah.
year that the sun's up, it's just a ghost town. And the rest
Right.
of the world just explores it like it's a ghost town.
Mm-hmm.
well, and Dracula's whole castle is like basically that in the original story.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, it was much easier for me to come up with other movies from 2010 that I would consider might be in the A category or at least a B to compare this with. And I wanted to throw them out to you because apparently 2010 was a good year for movies to see
Is that
which
the movie
one-
Failure to Launch came out?
I think it may have been, but I did not include it. No, Failure to Launch came out before that. But I'm just gonna list them, and then you guys tell me if there's one you guys like more.
All right.
First one, I know Joe's gonna pick this one: Inception,
Of course.
The Town, The Other
Great
Guys,
movie.
Also good.
Love it. One of my favorite.
True Grit,
Yeah.
Shutter Island, The Book of Eli,
Book of Eli.
yeah.
Really?
Get Him to the
Nice.
Greek,
Ah,
and
that one.
Black Swan.
See,
Black
never
Swan was
watched Black
interesting.
Swan. Never watched
I
Black
kind of want to
Swan.
watch it again, but not
Hey,
really.
if you want to
know what I
see
mean?
Mila Kunis go down on what's her name,
Natalie Portman.
Natalie Portman, there's no other movie to find that in.
All right. Well, so I'm waiting at least 2 weeks before I watch that, and then I'll drop my sample bottle off at the hospital.
But of those movies, I mean, those are all phenomenal movies. I think this movie was phenomenal. Which ones would you say were better than this movie out of that list?
What was the middle part?
I mean,
No, I'm just kidding.
I don't,
I'm just kidding.
I mean, yeah, you hit me with a lot of movies there. I haven't watched this movie until now, so there's that. I've
I
seen
think it'd
most
be
of
hard
the
for
other
me.
ones you referenced. Book of Eli, because I saw it. I
It'd
went
be
and saw
hard
that
for
one
me
in
to
the
Book
say
of
theater.
what's
Eli.
better, but I've seen Book of Eli quite a few times. I love it every time I watch it.
Except speaking of Mila Kunis, she's not that great in it. But whatever.
Is she the girl in that movie?
Yeah. And that's like the worst
The
part of
fact
that
that I-
movie when he takes on the ward.
The fact that I don't remember must mean she wasn't that good in that movie.
Apparently,
Yeah. Not needed.
I think The Town and the other
Tom Waits
guys
was great,
and
though.
Get Him to the Greek are some of my favorite movies.
Get Him to the Greek is it's oddly enough
The
one of my
other guys
favorite movies.
might be
Yeah?
my favorite comedy of all time. I
Yeah,
can't
I don't
believe
know
we
about
haven't
that.
done it.
Yeah,
honestly.
I can watch that
Yeah.
at any time, any place, any scene. I'm like, oh, I know it's coming up in 5 minutes. I'm going to stay tuned
Well,
for that.
When you guys pick
Like,
it, it'll
how
be my
close are we
second
to
time
Eva
watching
Mendes
it.
being in this movie?
Every time Eva Mendes is there and Mark Wahlberg's just trying to figure out why they're together, and Will Ferrell's like just being the biggest asshole to her. So great.
You're a nice lady.
All right, so let's get the wad out. It should be quick. Writers, there's some Swedish guys. The director was Matt Reeves. He's the son of Christopher Reeves.
Oh, nice.
He also directed The Batman, War and Dawn of Planet of the Apes, Cloverfield, and what kind of launched him was he co-created the TV show Felicity with J.J. Abrams. Anything you guys want to say about Matt Reeves?
I really wish the Cloverfield movies would have taken off better than they did. They had a great groundwork, and then just
Well,
it didn't work out well.
Well, no, because Cloverfield Lane was pretty good. What was the one with the
Sounds really
kids? What was that
That
one
was
called?
Cloverfield.
No.
Cloverfield.
No, with the kids, they're all little
Yeah,
kids.
like Blair Witch Project.
No. The
That
little
was
kids who have the
Cloverfield.
camcorder. It came out after Cloverfield.
I think you have your facts mistaken, because Cloverfield was all teenagers that were out partying.
No. It's
No.
No. It's like I'm talking to my fucking 3-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
I'll look it up.
Come to a
I'll look it up
lecture or
later.
what?
I'll look it up later when we're talking. But,
Regardless, that's all I had to say about Matt Reeves. I just incepted.
Here's what I'll say about Matt Reeves. Here's what I'll say about Matt Reeves. If he takes his first two initials and puts it with Mr. in front of it, it looks like he is saying Mr.
Mr. And I just
That's all I
incepted
got.
you guys. Obviously, the best movie of 2010 was Inception. So
I don't think I've seen that one.
I linked the episode, but it got deleted from the database. I don't know what happened.
I am trying to look up.
No,
the
it's
movie
out
and
there.
I can't find it.
It is still in the canon, I believe, where you look like a homeless person. When did that change?
No,
We should go back.
no, Inception's missing.
Still sitting in the same spot.
No, and shut up. Okay.
Okay, I think it's called Super 8. Isn't it Super 8? Is that?
Oh
the movie?
yeah,
That's an Alien movie,
J.J.
though.
Abrams.
Yeah, but that's Alien.
That's a great
so,
movie.
right?
Isn't-
Yeah.
I'm
That's
pretty
not
sure that's a
vampire.
Cloverfield spinoff.
All right. Well, I'd have to look that up. That
I don't
doesn't-
know about that.
Yeah.
If it is, then they did a good job. If not, then Joe's right.
They still did a pretty good job. It was a good movie.
No, that movie's great, but the
Yeah.
Cloverfield franchise thing.
Yeah,
Could've
should
been
have done
great.
better.
Could've been
Cloverfield
great.
Lane was great though.
Yeah,
I really like
Cloverfield
Cloverfield
was
Lane. I almost picked
fantastic.
it. I almost picked it tonight, but
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
um. All right, should we talk about Chloe Moretz a little bit? She was in Kick-Ass. She was Carrie
Yep.
in the Carrie remake, and then she
Didn't
was in
watch
other
it.
stuff that was also like It Follows. She's been in a lot of
Somebody
horror
out
movies.
there was like, we should remake Drew Barrymore, like just as a person. We're just gonna remake Drew Barrymore. Season 2.
Have you looked her up now? Because she's
No,
like
I haven't.
24 and she wears really cut off jeans and her butt showing the whole time.
I'll look her up now.
Anyways, Cody Smith McPhee. That was Owen.
It sounds like he's been in a lot more stuff, but I kept thinking, like, do I recognize him from anything they're talking about?
It's interesting when you look him up online, his picture is a black and white photo and he looks really fucking gangly and weird. And it's like, oh, this
Edward
guy's never been
Scissorhands,
in,
yeah.
this guy's never been in anything because of that photo. He has been in a lot of stuff. He's never really been a big memorable part. But my favorite thing that I found out he was in is he's the character Boy in The Road, which we have covered. Click here.
Right.
All right. So who is
yeah.
this kid? This is the kid.
That's the boy. Yeah.
This is
Okay.
the kid from
He's
The Road.
Owen.
No, well, no, but I mean, he's the main character in this movie, right?
He's Owen. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's also he plays Nightcrawler in X-Men Apocalypse,
Interesting.
and he kind of looks
the
like
worst
Nightcrawler.
X-Men movie.
Yes. He's also in a ton of other stuff. It's all really crappy roles. I don't really care.
I thought he did great in this movie. And again, speaking from my perspective, and so every time I speak, you guys have to remember how I watched this movie and how I graded it. So for me, the acting.
So wait,
was
when you're
top-notch.
talking, it's from your point of view. You're not talking
Yeah, exactly.
from anybody
Yeah,
else's
yeah.
point of view.
Yeah, no, you got to understand. You know,
Got it.
teenage
You know-
death pact movie into vampire movie, which is kind of a teenage death pact.
Before
Right? I mean,
I met Ben. I met Ben when I was 19, I think. And I did not know how I thought I had a good level of sarcasm in me, but man,
no, Ben
I'll
is the
never
baseline.
I'll
Ben
never
is
be the
baseline.
master, but he has definitely made me a lot better at it. The things you say are from your point of view. Like, how did he do that so quickly? What an asshole, right? Anyways,
I have jokes only Ben laughs at. They happen
Dylan-
weekly.
Dylan Minnette, he played Kenny. He was the bully kid.
Yeah, he looks super familiar.
There's like nobody in this movie, so I'm grasping at straws. But he was in Don't Breathe. Did you guys
I
see
did
that
see
movie?
that one. Yeah.
did see
I wanted
that.
to see that one. I saw Quiet. I wanted
Quiet
to see
Place.
Don't Breathe. Yeah, Quiet
Oh,
Place.
I
is
watched
the one I've
the-
seen.
Quiet
I
Place
watched
is
the No Doubt video for Don't Speak. Never mind.
So wait, Don't Breathe. The guy who plays the villain in Avatar, the Colonel,
Right.
Right?
he plays this blind dude who lives in a house, and he's really good at hearing, and he's trained in like super military stuff.
I
Yeah,
did
like
see that movie.
crazy
Yeah,
traumatized war vet.
It's actually not a bad movie, but some kids break into his house, and they've got a gun. They try and hide from him or whatever. They realize he's blind. They're like, "Oh, this is going to be a lot easier than we thought." And then he like touches one, and the second he touches him, he immediately snaps his neck. That is the bully in this movie, grown up to be
Huh.
19 or so.
Interesting.
Mm.
Dude,
When they
how did-
show his older brother picking on him,
You
You're
fucking
like-
beat me to it, son of a bitch.
dude.
Yeah, man, fucking
that's-
trickle down effects parenting, dude. There was and having a 13-year-old currently in school and having to deal with that kind of stuff and like flashing back to being a kid in school and seeing stuff like that, where you realize, all right, maybe I got to step back and cut him a little slack. And then the way they bring the older brother in at the end of the movie with friggin', all right, look, we're just gonna fucking drown this kid. I was
Mhm.
not mad when his girlfriend came back and ripped their throats out. I was like, fuck,
Literally
the
ripped his head
world
off.
is so much better without those fucking guys. Like, friggin' stop that toxic masculinity now.
On
I mean, not to, I'll date this show. Like, have you guys been watching the news at all about the 3 kids in Colorado who were throwing rocks at cars and ended up with somebody dead?
Yes, I saw
Like,
that.
this is the type of stupid shit that young people do that it's like, how does the older person that you know egg you on in this instead of being the more level-headed? It's, back to, it's a callback to the very beginning of the show. People are stupid and they like to
People
be
are
violent,
fucking stupid.
and it's fucking gross.
Dude, I
wish
love when
people
he
could.
fucking smacked that kid in the fucking head with this fucking stick
Oh, dude, when
while
they
the
show that
teacher was
ear,
watching.
Dude,
While the teacher was watching, I was like, that
split
kid
his
grew.
ear
That
like
kid grew
down the
like
middle.
6 fucking testicles in that fucking
I wrote-
second.
I wrote a note. His fucking ear.
Um, so really, the last one to talk about, and the only one really to talk about with substance, is Richard Jenkins.
Little Richie Jenkins.
So I wrote down the stuff that I thought was most prominent for me. He's got a wealth of stuff that he's been in, and
What about
if
Burn
you guys-
After Reading? Dude, when fucking Malkovich goes after him with the hatchet, I'm like, not Richard Jenkins. No. Gone. Damn that.
I didn't include that in my list, but I wanted to keep my list to 2 lines. He's John C. Riley's dad in Step Brothers, which I figured. Ben
Yeah,
would
that's my favorite
appreciate.
role for
Yeah.
him. Robert better not get in my face, or I will drop that motherfucker. Yeah, love Step Brothers.
Have you guys seen the show Dahmer yet?
Nope.
No.
Ben knows.
gotta
My
watch it.
ex-wife was like obsessed with serial killers, so I just generally avoid that content.
I would just say you got to watch it. It's the best serial killer show I've ever seen,
Yeah, I'm good.
bar none. And it's
I used to consume a fair amount of serial
watch-
killer shit.
watch the
I
first
listen
episode.
to Cormoran Strike novels, and I'm good.
Watch the first
Mm.
episode. If it does not absolutely blow you away, don't watch the rest. But I think
Kelly started watching it.
It's a really, really, really good show that really captures insanity. And
Dude, I gotta tell you,
Dude, what about Monster? Like, I mean,
well, it's a show.
What?
no, I'm sorry. Yeah, we're talking show versus movie. Anyways,
But
go ahead.
I was talking about
lately-
Richard Jenkins.
lately
let's not cut
Kelly's
off
been on
Ben.
this binge with these couple different shows, right? Like my TV consumption. And in the shows, 2 of them specifically are like competitions. And the people get shitty real quick where they're gonna fuck somebody over, or let's team up, and oh, this person's so shitty, let's be really rude to them. Like, I see that so prevalent that I find myself just wanting to watch nice things lately. Like I don't need to watch people getting murdered. Like all
Yeah,
my
no, I'm
tastes of
good.
my younger years and being totally fine with the the gross parts of society. Like lately I just want something uplifting and nice.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned my ex-wife. Man, we watched so much shit. Dude, we used to watch 48 Hours. I'm good.
Mhm.
I don't
The
need
first 48.
I don't need that information in my life.
Yep.
I don't need
Yep.
to consume that.
I can totally get that. Like coming back to me saying I don't like the really scary horror movies anymore. I like a
Mhm.
good story. And it can be a scary story, but I don't really want to be scared with just the visual pop outs anymore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'm over it, man.
But
I'm good.
When I flip on a movie and I go pick out a movie, it's either like a D&D style movie or a 40K style movie or a World War II style movie. And you
or
guys
a
know that
foreign
about
film
me.
with subtitles.
Well, no, I think I pick stuff for this show, that's like
literally in our chat. So I just watched this Russian comedian.
Right.
I mean, technically my wife basically held me down and made me watch that, but it was very funny. But I do like watching some of the harder to watch stuff. But Dahmer was great. I think both of you would love it. Joe, maybe you not as much as Ben, but
yeah, no, I'm good with it all, man. Like Silent of the Lambs was kind of my pinnacle of serial killer movies. I'm good.
it's a lot like that. Anyways,
You
the
know, let's
whole
talk about
reason-
Dexter just real quick, though. I went and saw Iggy Pop in concert the other night.
Yeah, I mean Dexter.
Love
did
that
watch
they used the
Dexter.
Passengers, the theme song. Dexter is really well done.
It's
really
well
for most
Dexter's
of
executed.
it.
very different.
Yes.
I actually, for me, I watched a shit ton of Dexter too, and I really loved it. Dahmer was easier for me to watch because something that's really hard for me to watch is like technical in-depth analysis of blood or
Right.
or like cut wounds that are very medically related.
Oh, and you
Dexter
realize
was
how
all
easily
about
it
that.
is to die just because you trip over something and cut your neck and you bleed out in 30 seconds. Yeah.
No,
that's
just
always-
like when they go into the details about like, oh, it hit this vein or this artery and it
Oh,
splattered
yeah.
in this direction. Like that shit really bothers me. And Dexter was just, oh yeah. Well, he
Oh,
cut him
yeah.
here and then he was
Yeah, yeah.
twisting this way and all the blood flew around the wall here. And I'm just like, oh my God.
No, it was fun.
You
Anyways,
know
the
what else was
reason I brought
fun?
up
How about
Dahmer-
watching Romeo and Juliet in high school? You guys remember that? I remember
Which
having to
one?
watch that movie in high school.
Which one?
The original, the old one, the one they're watching in this movie. When
Oh,
they show the
watch
kids in the
Romeo.
classroom watching a movie.
I
That's
didn't have to
Romeo
watch
and
that.
Juliet
I did
they're
not
watching.
see that. I did not
The
see
things
that.
I
It's been
remember-
so long since I've seen
The
that
things
one.
I remember
The
I had to
original.
do in school were read The Outsiders and read Lord of the Flies.
It's like
Because
seventh
Lord of the
grade.
Flies is banned now. Lord of the Flies is banned now. They don't do that anymore.
Why?
You got to read
It's
Sword of the
banned.
Flies now.
It's banned.
Any
It's not
some-
appropriate.
I actually
They
thought of Lord
shamed
of the
that
Flies
poor
when I was
fat
watching
boy.
the-
Good. Ban that thing.
when I was when when I was watching.
I know that's why you like it,
the-
Russ.
No, it's not. Damn.
There it is. There
Every
it
time
is.
Ben gets to say
Beautiful.
like I hate fat people for some reason, he just does. I've never
It's
ever
fun for
gave
me.
any inclination about hating anyone for anything other
every
than
time
stupid
Russell
people.
says conch, all I hear is fat people.
hmm
I don't
Hey,
even
but
want to
speaking of
finish
Richard
what I was gonna
Jenkins-
say. But what I was gonna say is in Let the Right One In, the original version, the bullies instead of calling him a little girl, they call him Piggy the whole time. And they come up to him and they lift up his nose and flick him in the nose and they
Nah.
call him, "Oh, good little piggy, go squeal, squeal." And it reminded me of Lord of the Flies.
Mm.
But
Which Richard
okay, we've
Jenkins
been
was
on
not in. But
We've been
he
on
was
Richard
the
Jenkins
shrink.
forever. He's-
Remember Ben Stiller's shrink in Something About Mary? Love
that
that one. He
Richard
comes back
Jenkins?
in after
Goddamn,
having the
that's a-
sandwich.
That's a fucking callback. Yeah, that's
So
great.
I
he's-
love that. We'll dive into that later. That's one of my favorite lines.
I thought it was
Rest
really
areas have
interesting.
become homosexual hangouts for many, many, many gay men.
Jesus Christ. I feel like this
Dude,
whole show I
could
could
make
have
that movie
started
today.
with let's talk about Richard Jenkins and we could have just made the whole show about him.
Yeah, I know, easily.
Okay,
Hell
but
yeah, dude! I love Richard Jenkins.
Jeffrey Dahmer's dad in the show Dahmer is Richard Jenkins.
Great.
Coming full
Oh,
circle.
oh,
Great.
we're bringing
I'm
it full
so
circle.
glad
Hey,
you brought
you
that
know what,
back around.
Russ? Kudos to you, brother, for fucking sticking through it to the hook, brother.
Yeah, I thought it was funny that he's
That's-
John C.
that's-
Riley's dad
Yep.
and he's Jeffrey
Yep.
Dahmer's dad.
Yep.
Come on.
Making
Ultimate
Ben
dad
a
right
serial
there.
killer lover. I love it. That's perfect.
Also,
The way
he
you
did-
love Hitler, Ben loves serial killers.
Dude, I wanted my first reaction to that was like, yeah, haha, fuck Ben. And then immediately I was like, oh no, if I agree with you, that means that I love Hitler. God damn it, you son of a bitch.
Well played.
All right. And before we move on from Richard Jenkins, I just got to say he did earn an Academy Award for his role in Shape of Water. And so he is a pretty awesome actor who's kind of solidified himself as someone to be remembered.
Yeah, I think he's great. When I see him in things, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get a solid performance out of this dude.
I just
He's
hope that he pays somebody to someday at his funeral be like, Richard Jenkins.
It could be you. He wouldn't even have to pay you.
I mean, the soundbite's out there. Make it happen, brother.
What's the worst vampire movie you guys know?
The worst fucking
Like worst legit vampire movie?
vampire with vampires and the S is a $sign. That's the worst. That's the worst
Oh my god.
vampire movie
That's
I've
pretty
ever
good.
seen in my life.
I'd say it's Van Helsing.
No,
No, even that one's better
I had
than
fun
this
with
one.
Van Helsing
That
though, even though it was
movie is
shitty. Like I
dog
loved
shit.
watching it.
It's horrible.
I would say for
Horrible.
me,
It's
probably
not really
Queen
a
of the
vampire
Damned.
movie. What the fuck you say?
You like Queen of the Damned?
As a vampire movie?
I don't know. I just Googled vampire movies.
That'd be
and
like the
that came up.
baseline of vampire lore. Like that's the fucking deep dive.
I mean, there's so many
honorable mention,
shitty.
not a bad one, but From Dusk Till Dawn.
I
if
mean,
you talk
Vampire
about great
Kiss,
vampire movies, you should definitely.
Vampire Kiss,
Yeah,
starring
Dust Till
Nicolas
Dawn
Cage.
is on there. Which one, Russ?
Phenomenal. What else you
Vampire
got,
Kiss.
Russ?
Vampire Kiss, starring Nicolas Cage.
Oh my god. Stop it.
That was
Stop it.
what's the one Jim Carrey was in that was actually funny? That one's pretty good. And then what's his name? George. He had the really dark tan, old 80s. He used to be in some good vampire movies. Once Bitten. That's the Jim Carrey. Once Bitten.
Hey,
All right.
Vampires.
Fun-
I'm trying
fun
to find
fact
the
about
actor
this
in this
movie.
fucking movie because you guys know this guy and it would be funny.
Fun fact about this movie
Personally?
is Stephen King said this was the best movie of 2010.
Yep, that
Nice.
sounds about right. He loves story. He
Mhm.
loves a little bit of offsetting horror. And they just do a really good job. The whole not being overt with the fact that there's vampires in it, but definitely laying out what the rules are for being a vampire. Pretty great.
Do
damn.
you guys? Could you
Pretty
easily
cool.
say what your favorite horror movie is? Because for me, it was hard, and so I'll give you guys time to think about it. There's two movies that people put in the horror category that I feel like for
Fuck.
me, I don't know if they are, but if they are, I would definitely pick Jaws because that's maybe my favorite movie of all time.
So I call that suspense.
Another
I
one
don't
is
know. I would say-
Alien. If you consider Alien a horror movie,
The first
put it up
Alien.
there.
I feel like Alien was space horror. The way it's done
Yeah,
very
that's
much
sci-fi. That's sci-fi horror.
yeah, and I would say that's honestly like that's what comes to mind is something I can watch over and over again, and it's thrilling but has scares to it. I really love that. Yeah,
As a total aside, I looked up the movie that was the worst vampire movie for me, and it was based on a book. And this is how I came across it and agreed to watch it on my TV. John Steakley wrote that book.
Oh.
And it's the only two books he's ever written were that book and Armor. Don't watch this movie. Don't read that book, but read Armor. It's amazing. I don't know what happened, John, but vampires was not the business. Like, don't do that again. just maybe that's why he stopped writing. I don't know.
Could
I
be.
do gotta hand it to John Krasinski. A Quiet Place was pretty fucking awesome. And if
That
I
was
was
pretty
only
dope.
going with current
I'd like to
movies,
watch
that would
number
probably
two.
be my number one. I
I've
watched
seen number two.
two.
Number two is a well executed sequel.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
I
liked
wanna
the
see it.
first one, it's
Yeah.
basically just as good. I feel like everyone always gives sequels like one notch under the original.
No, they fucking
Except
dude. They
for-
executed so well in that movie.
I would say it's just
Boom.
as good.
Just
It's
as
just
good.
as good.
Ben, what's your favorite horror movie?
I mean, Aliens is pretty high up there.
Alien.
Alien. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the first one.
Alien. I'm trying to think if I actually own a horror movie. I don't know. I don't have many. I really Evil
American
Dead.
Psycho, Evil. I mean, Evil Dead's not. Oh well, no, the original.
The first one is.
Yeah, the original one's legit.
And then now they're making another scary one, but I don't think Sam Raimi's doing it, which is probably a good
No,
idea.
Sam Raimi signed on. He's supposed to be involved.
Would you guys consider The Shining a horror movie?
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. See, and
Yeah.
I was gonna go more old school. I was gonna be along the lines of, Pet Cemetery, Exorcist, things that came up before, because
Exorcist is great.
and probably because of my age when I was exposed to them, but probably my top is Pet Cemetery. Like that movie fucked me up, dude. The baby walking out across the highway at the end. The next is fucking Rob Zombie's not
See, I haven't watched
House
any
of
of
the
his
Dead,
shit.
not House of
Thousand
the
Corpses.
Dead.
House of Thousand
I don't even
Corpses.
House
think
of a
it's
Thousand
no,
Corpses is so messed up.
I don't think it's even House of the Thousand Corpses. It was the one that came after that. It starred his wife,
The Devil's Rejects.
The Devil's Rejects. That Pet Cemetery, Devil's Rejects. Those are my two top horror movies.
Never
Can't
saw
do
it.
it. Can't do it.
really, really,
When
really
she
liked-
wanders into the freaking highway wearing her husband's face and then gets hit by the semi, and they show the after effects of her getting hit by the semi. You guys know that when the human body gets compressed that quickly, that everything comes out to your anus.
God damn it, Joe. Thank you.
The Ring. I saw The Ring in the movie theaters when it came out.
Yeah?
So
yes.
one of my
Yeah,
One of
that
my
one
other
wasn't
questions-
saw
scary for
that,
me.
and dude, we got out of there and we're like nervous. Just holy shit, that's scary! Like everything's scary. Did that movie really get you?
It was sketchy.
So yeah, one of my other questions that I wanted to ask you guys, favorite horror experience in theaters. I didn't watch The Ring in theaters. I think I was maybe a little too young to have been invited to go. I was like 15 or 16.
Yeah, no,
or
that was
something.
NC-17.
Well, I don't think it was
Was it?
NC-17.
No, it
but
was R.
it was just
Was it
R.
R?
But
Mhm.
like at the time, I don't know, we weren't necessarily sneaking in or getting our parents to take us to see movies like that. But I do remember watching it. I was in Hawaii at the time, at a hotel with Mike and his friend Joe, and we
Not as
watched it.
cool
And
as
it was
this
like
friend
one of
Joe.
the scariest things ever. We also watched Open Water while we were in Hawaii. If
Oh
you
my
watch
God,
Open
fuck that
Water while
movie.
you're in Hawaii, it is the
And then
scariest
go
movie
and-
you've ever seen.
Oh my god, dude! Fuck that.
movie.
Well, I didn't go in the ocean after I watched it. It ruined the whole
Yeah,
vacation.
dude. Why would you?
I mean, and on
Yeah.
another level, like 187 days. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I
mean,
that
yeah,
fits.
Not
my
really
cr-
a horror movie, but it's horrific
I mean,
for sure.
Yeah.
I know my scariest, which so I would say my favorite horror movie theater experience was the shit, I didn't even write it down. The movie where the demon is messing with the family at night and they're recording it.
No, it was a absolute phenomenon. They made 6 more of them.
Yeah.
What the hell is that called? Also, I went and saw Bram Stoker's Dracula in the movie theaters when I was 17 with friends from high school. That was a pretty memorable
I think I was there for
cinematic
that.
experience.
Yeah, no,
That
that one
night
was
was
worth
fucking,
seeing. Yeah.
that night was pretty dope. That was one of the first, like, holy shit, it's fun to have fun with friends.
Probably my favorite horror experience would be The Ring. I'm not a big horror
Yeah.
fan, and The Ring isn't a lot of what we've talked about tonight with that flash in your face, crazy over the top grotesque horror.
Hmm.
Like I saw the original Saw in movie theaters.
Oh, yeah. Which was actually good.
Yeah, no, that one is my second. And
Yeah.
just because
Saw is actually good.
I don't remember who I went and saw it with. It was casual friends, so it wasn't somebody I was close with. And like afterwards, we went our own separate ways. So it like haunted me for a minute. But The Ring was something I went and saw with. I was married at the time. Went and saw it with the wife. She was big into all that stuff, and it was a good experience sharing it with her who enjoyed it,
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
part
it
of my
not
thing too,
being
is Linda.
and it not being such a ridiculous over the top gory horror.
Hmm.
Like it was a Clue horror.
Yep.
Who done it?
Yep. Yeah, I really like that one. That was good. Yep. Russ, we're still recording. Did you know that? Have you moved on? You're writing a
What?
thesis?
I was trying to figure out that goddamn movie the entire time. I don't know why I didn't write it down. But when you've been drinking, you forget the names of movies. It's
It
fine.
happens.
What
It's
Yeah.
its own segment on this show. You gotta
speaking
pay
of
attention to catch it
alcohol,
though.
Ben, what alcohol would you pair with this movie?
I think anytime you watch a vampire movie, you should probably have a red wine. And the Prisoner's Red Blend would probably be phenomenal considering there's so many prisoners in this movie. Prisoners of emotion.
I mean, prisoners of duty too. The cop, right? Like he's out. The unspoken heroes were his family at home. That guy got murdered in an empty apartment.
Sad.
Yeah, my
Sad.
child watched him.
What
Yeah. And close
Ben,
the
you
door.
really like vampire movies, right? You said you did.
I enjoy a good vampire movie, and I do love vampire lore. I feel like I've got a pretty great grasp on the minutia of vampire lore. Yeah, yeah, sure.
So, if I were to ask you what your favorite classic horror movie monster villain is, would you pick Dracula?
Man, classic
No,
horror
probably
movie monster villain.
Wolfman.
Fuck.
Wolfman.
Dude, The
Okay.
Thing.
You would pick
I mean,
Thing. Stephen King's The Thing.
no, it's John Carpenter's The Thing.
Or John Carpenter's Thing. John Carpenter makes
Yeah,
scary
super
fucking
scary. But
movies.
are you talking classic like The Archetypes, Mummy, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Werewolf, Vampire, and
I
Oh, God.
presented
Throw
this
another one in there.
question to
I didn't even
Google
think about John
because I wanted to
Carpenter.
expand my list, and it came up with a bunch of stuff that made me go like, okay, well, if somebody said this, that'd be fine. But yeah, originally I was saying like a mummy, a zombie, Frankenstein, werewolf, vampire. But
Frankenstein's a great story. I mean, Frankenstein can be very, the actual Mary Shelley's Frankenstein they made with De Niro and Kenneth Branagh really, I mean, I felt like gave Kenneth Branagh a lot
That
of
was-
cred in my world.
I mean, he already had a ridiculous amount of cred, but what an incredible reimagining of Frankenstein, and what an incredible performance. I mean, just fantastic. My favorite Frankenstein,
Yeah.
easily.
Mine is Alice Cooper's Feed My Frankenstein.
Feed my Frankenstein.
Frankenstein.
Yeah, there it is. Different verses, but we got you covered, baby.
Pennywise was on the list of classic horror monsters.
Yeah.
I think maybe Pennywise has earned
That's Stephen
his-
King's.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I didn't say it earlier when I was talking about my favorite horror movies, but the remakes of It, I absolutely loved them. They were
I've
great.
never seen the original. Won't watch the remakes.
You don't need to watch the original if you watch the remake. They're so close.
The
But
original is better. It's Tim Curry, man. It's
Ben's
fucking
a
Tim
purist.
Curry.
It is. I mean, it is. Having never seen it, Tim Curry gets my vote.
Fuck
so,
yeah.
I mean, like watch them both, Joe, if you want to say that.
Yeah, no, that's not.
I'd
gonna
say I
happen.
Take
actually, if
8
I was gonna
hours
watch,
out and watch all
I've
4
got
It movies.
commentary
gonna-
for those movies the same way most people vote in America. I
If I
ain't
was
gonna
gonna
watch it and
watch-
I'll level an opinion.
if I was gonna watch one again, it would be the remake, just because it's newer, it's more fresh, it's got like better graphics and like some slightly
it-
better acting.
I don't
So,
know.
Would
I
you,
feel like
Russ?
that's Stephen King's best novel, in my opinion. And I really love, because it's Stephen King's novel, that he sets it in the 50s. But in the remake, they pump it up 30 years so that it's 80s and then the 2000s, because you need
No,
a
it's got to be more
20-year gap
relevant.
when the
Yeah,
friends
it's got to
come back
be.
together. Yeah.
Got to be more
Which is,
relevant.
I mean, that's cool. You get to do a lot of stuff, but I don't know. I feel like with It, I'm more of a purist. I love the greaser guy that It gets to be his thrall. Anyway,
Russ,
you don't
if
want
you
real
were
conversation
offered,
about this shit.
if you were offered the opportunity to be a vampire, would you?
That was one of my questions for you guys. Yeah, I would, but only because I'm selfish and I want to live forever. Like,
Same answer for me.
if I believed in an afterlife, like if I knew there was an afterlife without a doubt, like I'm one of those not sure people because I don't know what to believe. Then I might be totally cool with what I got now and just die and go float around in a magical garden forever with like maybe 100 virgins. Like all these scenarios sound pretty great.
No, you're not the right religion. You got to be Islamic for that one to happen.
Well, who knows? But with what I know that's in front of me, I'll fucking bite someone every 30 days to just live forever and fly around like a bat and never see the sun again. Like that's okay.
So for me, I thought about it a lot. And there's definitely pros and there's definitely cons. But at the end of the day, for me, it would probably be the lead vampire from, I want to say Anita Blake, but that's not her name, Anne Rice, and her novels that unfortunately are reprised on screen as, what is it, Brad Pitt plays that role? Right.
Louis?
Louis. I would want to, as much as it would pain me to leave all of my loved ones behind, the ability to stand almost on the sidelines of time and see all of the stories told. Like, I don't ever have to read a book that never ends. I can choose somebody and I can follow their story till the end. I can see all of the endings. I can see all of the beginnings. I get to experience all of the things. Time is suddenly removed as an equation with what you want to do with your life. And I really feel like I could fill a millennium with what I want to do.
Yeah.
Ideally, if I could find somebody to bring with me, great. If not, I'm okay doing it alone.
So yeah, you're with us. We'll all
Yeah, I'm with you guys. And to even touch on the, you know, belief in afterlife aspect, I would believe that if that opportunity was presented to me, that means that it must be part of the master plan. And so when my journey comes to an end, I'll go to whatever the rest of that journey is.
That's your journey.
Yeah, maybe I'm meant to stand judgment. How did my
Maybe.
creation fare?
Hey, Joe, can I ask you another question about vampires? Could you say what the best depiction of a vampire is in film?
On film, again, I'm partial because of the literary influence, but honestly, it would be Anne Rice's envisioning of what vampires look like. Queen of the Damned, Interview with the Vampire. Maybe not how it's portrayed on film, but the way it's portrayed in the books is absolutely, to me, what would be the most believable version of vampires.
Ben?
Yeah.
Followed closely by Blade.
Yeah, I would say Blade, right? Blade has
Right.
got to be the
Followed
best.
closely by Blade.
Blade 2, Donald Logue specifically in Blade 2.
Paranormal Activity. That's that fucking movie.
That's that movie.
Thank God Russ got that one out.
Scratch that itch. Am I right?
All right.
Okay.
One more question for you guys before we
All right.
close this bitch out. Have you guys ever actually had that movie going experience, especially in a theater, where you're in the early stages of dating a girl and a really scary movie actually helped you get her like really close to you?
Nope.
I mean, go ahead, Joe.
I did. Nope.
It wasn't in the theater, but
I've had
we watched it
memorable
with
movie
She
experiences
got the
with
picture.
somebody I was dating with who, were memorable, but no, not anything that moved the relationship forward.
I guess you see it in movies a lot, right? Like there's the guy who like, oh, I'll put my arm around you and protect you. Like, oh, this movie's scary, blah, blah, blah. Never experienced that until like you've been with someone for a while and
Yeah.
they actually are like, I don't like scary movies. Let's just like hold my hand and shit. Like Sonia
Nope,
does that
never-
all the time.
never
When we're
happened.
watching a scary movie, she's just like, fuck, why are you making me watch this?
Well, you're winning, brother.
But
Kudos to you.
in the early stages of any relationship I ever had, I do not remember there being a time where it was like, am I gonna get lucky tonight because of this scary movie? No, that is a myth.
Yeah,
For me.
that's absolutely a myth. At that point, you become I don't know, you know what? I'm just going to shut my mouth before I get myself in trouble.
It doesn't matter.
Hey, anything else you guys want to talk about before we get everyone in the world to like and subscribe?
Just again, that this was an absolutely unique take on vampires.
On World War II, this is such a unique take on. I'm sorry,
Yes.
what movie are we reviewing?
If you love Hitler, then you should watch this movie. No, it was a good movie. Good acting, good movie. Watch it thinking I would make the argument that this is in fact a teenage suicide pact.
Only
I
one
would
of
make
them's
the
already
argument.
undead.
It doesn't matter. They play the ending out in conjunction with the beginning. It's a brilliantly executed movie, and if I was the author who wrote this book, I would be well pleased with this representation.
So like
I
and
really
subscribe,
liked
people.
his entire wall being a picture of being on the moon.
Dude,
All right,
and the
that's what I
soundtrack,
got.
we didn't even talk about the soundtrack.
Man,
Jason,
So
help.
fucking outstanding, dude.
there were some
Was
good
it?
ones.
Talk about
He
something.
had a
from
couple
it.
of really good ones. What's the one he plays towards the end where I was like, yeah, this is it actually got stuck in my head, but it's gone and now I
Dude,
can't remember it.
the little date scene when his mom's coming home late. Go put on one of my mom's dresses. He comes out, dude. He was dressed to the nines. That fool was ready. He was like, I'm gonna get some. I'm gonna get some. Oh,
Dude,
wait,
that
this
the
bitch is
jacket he wore to
undead.
school
Fuck.
every day. That jacket he wore to school
Dude,
every day was like
why?
not doing him any
Why?
fucking favors.
Why? How?
Yep, that's
I
all
would
I
never
got.
do that to my kids.
Yep.
In the original version, everyone looks ugly.
Huh.
not just the main character. Like and subscribe.
Oh, harsh.
I'm Russ, Ben Hansen, Joe,
Bearded baritone.
Morgan.
Bring it
Tune
home.
in.